How about it? We're back with you again here on the Tennessee Rivals site. Checkerboard Chatter, another episode leading into UT Martin week. And I know not everybody really wants to be focusing on the Skyhawks. Euphoria continues to grow here, not just on Rocky Top, but from a national standpoint as well. Hey, what's up? Tyler Ivens, and what's better than one Tyler? Two Tylers. We'll be able to give that to you. I don't know which way the cameras are going to, Mansfield, I don't know which way the cameras are going. There we go. It's more like that. Tyler Squared. We should just call this the Tyler Squared edition of the Checkerboard Chatter. Yeah, all throughout different networks. Thank you so much. However, you're getting your videos and your podcasting throughout this morning, the evening, and the afternoon, because we are 24/7, 365 here on Vol Report. All right, Tyler, it's now 6-0 Tennessee. It's now the number 3 team in the land, Tennessee. And simply put, it might be Tennessee and everybody in college football fan base loving Tennessee right now, not just in Knoxville, because the one thing that some people don't like in college football is sometimes we don't see as much parity as we'd like. First, the Vols take down Alabama, still Georgia to come. There's the usual suspects, a little behind Tennessee and Clemson and Michigan, Ohio State. A new person's been invited to the party, and they wear bright orange. It's just been an absolute just fanatic last 72, 96 some odd hours, dude. Good evening.
Tell you what, that game – we'll talk about a lot on this show. It was incredible. And Tennessee is in the national market now. They always have been, but their name, you hear it on Get Up in the Morning. It's on ESPN. It's on every morning show around college football in the SEC. People are watching this program. You go from a bad era from a couple coaches there, some down years, and now look at them. You know, you're undefeated 6-0. You're ranked 3rd in the country. You have beaten 4 ranked teams, Pittsburgh, LSU, Florida, Alabama. Sky's the limit. They've proven that. And in less than 2 full years of Josh Heupel, they are now back on that mountaintop with competing with the best of the best. And it's fun. It's very exciting.
You know, I got on to some of my friends being here in Knoxville and going through the ups and downs with this program, following it first as a fan. And then whenever I chose this career path, knowing that it would have to be more of a neutral approach. And, you know, privately, I'll let you behind the high school play curtain just momentarily. Privately, I would just say to them, man, you got to stop with this feels like 98 stuff. You can't say it feels like 98, a team that was 13-0, a team that had so many dramatic finishes in the Florida-Arkansas game, and then the way things played out on the way to the national championship game. You can't say feel like 98 unless something monumental happens that really makes it feel like 98. Congratulations. We're at a point in time now where it does feel like 1998. People are starting to book their travel, Tyler. They're starting to put insurance on plane tickets and hotel stays because they just don't know how this ends up playing out. Will it be the Sugar Bowl? Will there be multiple stops in Atlanta? And more on that to come. But right now, not only does it start to feel like 98 because of who you've beaten. By the way, last time Tennessee knocked off 4 top 25 ranked teams early in the schedule, it was 1998. But I want to go to something you just said there momentarily. What Josh Heupel's been able to do after so many headaches at head coach. Josh Heupel in 19 games has taken Tennessee from what could be potentially down the road to national relevance this quickly with the snap of a finger. I can tell you it's remarkable. On the outside looking in now covering this program, what have you seen kind of growth-wise and what has kind of led to where they are now?
I watched Tennessee a lot last year, and they were good at times, really good. I mean, there's some good wins, some questionable losses where they should have won those games with the talent they had. But I think, obviously, when a new coach comes in, you gel together, you learn a new system, you learn how to play for a new coach, how to adjust to your teammates, people that transferred in, people that transferred out. And now everything's together, and we're seeing the result of that. Josh Heupel's offensive system is beautiful. They snap the ball every 18 seconds, sometimes quicker. It's insane to me. And the way it runs, like that last drive of the game, you know, you're tied with Alabama, a chance to win at home. If you win the game, it's going to be a circus after. And obviously it was, and we'll touch on that. But Hendon Hooker's just a great quarterback. And those 2 big passes there to put McGrath in field goal range. It's a 40-yarder, not the prettiest 40-yarder. It may have been tipped. Some say it was, some say it wasn't. But they win that game. And it's a monumental win, obviously. You lose 15 straight to a team, and now you beat them. I mean, it can happen. I just think Heupel and his staff and his players are all on the same page. I think they buy into the system quickly. I think they have the same attitude mindset. They don't get too high, too down, too low. It's just they're neutral, and they take care of business week by week. They move on. At LSU, the way they started that game, I was like, I'm shocked at how good they're playing. It's because you're on the road in Baton Rouge, you kill them. You have a big lead. The Florida game, Florida had some times there where they could have took the lead. They did take a lead at one time and maybe won. But there's times this year where you're like, Tennessee's winning this game no matter what. This is theirs to win. The Bama game, you're up 21-7. I mean, and obviously Bama, we know Bama, they come back and they fight, but they get the win. And now you're not even just 6-0, but 3-0 SEC play. It's huge. And, I mean, what do you say? I mean, it's incredible how fast they have progressed in a short amount of time with Josh Heupel, less than 2 full years in.
Yeah, what it says to me as somebody, again, who has seen this team since, I mean, look, I was born in 86. I realistically started following stats and carrying around notepads and pencils when I was 5. So we'll say from 91 on. All right, let's just be fair here. When you watch that game against Alabama, no matter where you were seated, 2.8 million people are going to swear to God they were at that stadium Saturday night, because even if they didn't get a ticket. But there was a couple things that happened. And if you're a Tennessee fan watching this right now or listening to this, you're going to know exactly what I'm about to say. And you're going to feel it the same way that I felt it and others felt it as well. When you had that pass interference penalty in the back of the end zone, call it fair, call it foul, no matter how it rolls out. When that penalty is thrown and Alabama gets the automatic first down, did you kind of have that knot in your stomach, that kind of, here we go again moment? Because for Tennessee fans, they've somehow, and rightfully so and wrongfully so, I'll say this, sometimes yes, sometimes no. They've developed kind of this mentality that the sky's always falling. This Chicken Little, it never can be us. We're never picked. We're always the bridesmaid, never the bride. And that was the moment there where I think a lot of Tennessee fans either turned to the person they were sitting beside in the stadium, or they rushed to social media and said, this is it. This is how we always get screwed. It happens this way every year. But what did Tennessee do? They bounced back. They found Jalen Hyatt. Guy was gone. One of 5 touchdowns. Then later in the game, the bad exchange handoff. It's just sitting there in the middle of the field, loaf of bread, scoop and score. Bama takes the lead again. Oh, there it is. Grab the smartphone, Twitter it out. Turn to your buddy. Same thing every year. Bama every year. The Tennessee came back and they fought. Those moments where you think that Tennessee is going to get smacked in the face and they're not going to recover, or you think that this is where the black hole continues to grow larger year in and year out for Tennessee, things are changing. You got to have a little bit of luck. You got to have somebody who will take the punch and be fun. Even last year, Tyler, in losses, I mean, when Jeremy Pruitt was here, Tennessee would get down 14, 17 points. You'd turn the game off because you knew it was over. You knew there was no coming back. Josh Heupel, you already mentioned it. He's getting 3 snaps off in 60 seconds. There's only a handful of teams in all of college football that can say they're getting 3 snaps in less than 60 seconds off in a single drive. In a second, this man can turn the game around. So you knew Tennessee had a fighting chance. But to have those moments happen, Tyler, against a huge rival like Alabama, my goodness, Tennessee fans who had that Chicken Little mentality, if you want to call it that, it's got to be gone. It's got to be expired. Tennessee fans, they're seeing a new team, and they're seeing a new approach on how football's played, especially here in Knoxville. It's
a mature team. I think that's the biggest thing is I think the way Heupel, like we don't know what will happen tonight behind closed doors, but there's something that he says and does that staff buys into, the players buy into. I mean, after they beat Bama, they celebrate, obviously. They have cigars on the field, gold poster being carried out in Neyland Stadium. Then the postgame hits, they're calm, laid back as can be, like, yeah, it's just a win. Same for the LSU week, same for Florida week, same for Pitt week. Just like they take care of business and move on. And I don't think previous Tennessee teams will, at least in many years, have done that. I just think the mature team, you look at Hooker leading the way. The guy is just neutral as can be. You know, Hyatt is a guy there. Brew McCoy has been playing football for a long time. Now he's getting his feet really wet. You know, Jabari Small. The defense is a veteran-led group. This team, like we said a minute ago, the sky's the limit for them. You beat Bama, you can beat whoever you want to. Georgia's a different story, maybe. There's Georgia's Georgia. I think Georgia's better than Alabama, and everyone else thinks so as well. But that game in a few weeks will be huge. It could be another potential 1 versus 3 matchup, maybe. If Tennessee keeps winning, maybe go to 2. If something happens in the AP poll, who knows? Yeah. But that we'll get there eventually. It's just, you have UT Martin first, then Kentucky, move forward from there. South Carolina's, I think, in between those games as well. But at 6-0 and with the teams they beat, I don't think there's a better resume in college football than Tennessee's. I mean, sure, Ohio State's a great team, but are they worthy of a 2 over 3 Tennessee?
Don't get me started. No. Don't get me started. They haven't beat a single team in the top 25. Not a single team above 500. You're going to try to sell me on wins against Toledo and Arkansas State. And look, I talked about this on my show here locally. You can't tell me strength of schedule and resume matters when it comes time to come to the table and have a discussion about who's A and who's B and who's better, and then tell me, well, resumes don't matter. They sure as hell do. Now, I know some people are saying the AP poll should mean nothing because the real poll doesn't come out till, quick math here, right after the Georgia game, or right before the Tuesday, the college football playoff rankings will start coming out. So it shouldn't matter. And I agree to an extent. But when you talk about the eye test and what you're seeing, name a better team right now in college football besides Tennessee. I'll allow the discussion of Georgia. They do a lot of things right. They're well coached. I'll allow the conversation. We can have that conversation. Ohio State right now, they've got a great quarterback. And he's got a guy who's been the Heisman Trophy favorite all season long for a reason. But when you want to talk about work, when you want to talk about who they've beaten and the things they've done, you can't start with Ohio State. I understand that they are a usual suspect, and Ohio State always proves it. But right now, this year, I'm suspect about a few things that they have done. Let me ask you this. When you look at what Tennessee has done to get to where they are right now, you brought up Hendon Hooker. Does that surprise you at all at Hendon Hooker that his mentality hasn't changed? I know covering him, chatting with him, same with Josh Heupel. I don't want to put them in the same kind of boat together because they both have similar mentalities, but I want to start with Hooker. You would think eventually with the Heisman hype, reading press clippings, transfer from Virginia Tech, stories about the heart surgery, his whole journey, there'd be a moment where maybe he'd smile or, cut up a little bit. This guy is all business all the time.
He is, and he acts like he runs an NFL program, kind of like he's a franchise quarterback. He's
25. Maybe that comes with the age. He's 25. He's a little older than most quarterbacks. And you brought up maturity. Maybe he's kind of the poster child of this mature Tennessee football team. Exactly.
And you mentioned their mindsets of Heupel and Hooker. I think you can't find a better duo that gels well together than Hooker and Heupel. It makes sense. Hooker, Heupel, double H, H squared. But they think the same way. They react the same way. I think, at first, the thing about it is that he wasn't even in Josh Heupel's offense. He adjusted to it. Joe Milton was the team starter until he got injured and didn't play very well, and Hooker steps in, and since then it's been history. Like, Hendon Hooker and Josh Heupel were meant to be for years. It took longer to find it.
I'll take it a step further, and some people don't remember this. Hendon Hooker was a Jeremy Pruitt recruit. He was brought in from Jeremy Pruitt. When Heupel arrived on campus, it was almost, okay, we have an okay quarterback room. I need to go find somebody out there who maybe we need to add a little artillery. Maybe we need to add a bigger arm. Maybe we just need just a different look. And it was Heupel who went up to Michigan and said, oh, things aren't working well for you in Ann Arbor. Come on down. We'll get you. And it was because a little bit of luck and some things had to happen. That's when the Hendon Hooker experience kind of fell into place for Tennessee. And one more note real quick on Josh Heupel. The one thing I've also noticed about this Bama game, and I think Tennessee fans will also be able to hear this as well. Have you noticed that the last couple of seasons, the last couple of coaches, when you ask them about big moments, when you talk about the coaches that have been here, it seems like the coaches wanted to make the rivalry about themselves. This is a big game for me. Obviously, my wife's having difficulties kind of settling me down and sitting me down. This, me, not the team, but me. Josh Heupel said something on SEC Nation Saturday morning when he was being interviewed. And they said, Coach, did you get any sleep last night? And you would expect Josh Heupel to make it about him, how nervous he is a big game. Josh Heupel just looked over and said, I have no problem getting sleep now these days. This guy is so cool and even. The guy cannot be pulled off the road to save his life. He is one of the most professional, go about lunch pail mentality guys. And that's what Tennessee has needed for some time. Not this whole incestual, hire somebody who's a Vol, make sure it's somebody who can understand the SEC. Go get somebody who can just win games, and let's see how far they can take them. And in 19 games, as we've already pointed out, man, has it been just an incredible run so far for Tennessee.
Less than 2 full seasons. That's the thing that blows my mind. I wrote a column this week, not only about just the atmosphere of the game against Alabama, but Josh Heupel, it's less than 2 full seasons. And the guy, they won 7 games last year. He's 6 this year already. 6 in 6 weeks. That's incredible. No one thought they would start 4 ranked teams and beat them all.
Tennessee fans looking down the calendar like we used to. Well, about here is when we'll be bowl eligible. That's when we'll get the 6th win. No, just beat your biggest rival, and you'll be 6-0, number 3 in the land. Hey, don't forget that Tennessee became bowl eligible, but they have bigger things. Jokes aside, obviously, people are not used to that in 2022, but that's where we're at.
They do, and Kentucky's a huge game, and we'll get there next week when we talk about it. But you have UT Martin first. Yes, it's a nice FCS program. You know you're going to win by 30, 40, maybe more. It might be better than the Akron game or the Ball State game. It couldn't be. I mean, Tennessee just beat Bama. You think they're going to go in there and put up 25, 30 points against Akron? I mean, UT Martin. It's not going to happen. But this is a week, not really to rest because you have a game to play, but play some bench players. You get their snap counts up. Hooker can play maybe a quarter or a series or something.
Right.
That way you prepare for UK, not really early because you don't want to overlook an opponent like every coach says in the world, but this is a good week for them. You're rewarded for beating Bama with a more of a bye game, not a bye week, but a bye game. Then you can go back into Kentucky and then South Carolina and then move forward. Georgia week's coming up.
Let me ask you what. Be honest with me. When you were on the field after the game was over, did you have to take your clothes to the dry cleaner because they were covered in cigar smoke? So I smoke cigars all the time, so I understand some of the things that you have to do but man, there were people crying on the field. There were people taking chunks of grass out of the end zone. We were poking fun at this lady today here locally. She's got an eBay account. Some people are paying up to $50 for singles. We're talking about blades of grass. Literally, people are taking blades of grass out of a golf course and throwing them in the air to dictate the win more than what she's offering here. What were some of the sights and sounds that you were seeing besides just pandemonium that was taking over there at Shield Watkins Field?
I could talk about this the rest of my life. I think there's not going to be a better atmosphere that I will ever see than that, I don't think. Just 5 minutes to go in the game, Tennessee media can go to the field with 5 minutes to go. I said, you know what? They have a chance to win. I'm going to go downstairs, go on the field, and see what happens. I go to the corner of the end zone. Bama's driving. They kick their field goal and miss it right in front of me. I'm like, okay. I turn around. There's 45, 50 recruits right behind me, all celebrating. Like, all right, we got a chance. The clock is low. There's not much time left. I'm like, all right, to do this, Hooker has to have at least 2 big passes, maybe just 3 quick slants, get in field goal range, kick it and win it. First pass from El Keaton, boom. Second pass, Brew McCoy, boom. 40-yard field goal, McGrath. Obviously, he's a good kicker, but earlier in that game, missed a PAT, a crucial one.
Let me pause you real quick. Let me pause you right there since we're storytelling here. Can we just real quick talk about the play that Hendon Hooker made to Brew McCoy? Couple reasons why. One, he takes that snap and he has trust in his offensive line. An offensive line vastly improved this year that has been absolutely just playing above level. Just absolutely incredible. Not only does he trust his offensive line, but he then some quarterbacks never do. Hendon Hooker, very good at not doing it either. He stares down Brew McCoy. Go back and watch it. He gets through one, evades a second, and stares down Brew. This ball's coming to you, and I'm going to throw it as hard as I can, and you're about to get crushed with the guys around you. He rips that sucker in there, holds on to it. I don't know if I'm more impressed by Hendon Hooker staring down Brew and saying, I don't know how much more obvious I can make it that I'm going to you, and you're going to get destroyed. And he needed every inch and every pound of his frame to hold on to that football. They get the timeout. It's remarkable to me. I thought it was an absolute hell of a throw. I thought it was a hell of a trust in Brew McCoy. And to have 15, who a lot of people we've had to hear about Ramel Keaton and have to hear about Jalen Hyatt, I'm thinking through the mind of Brew McCoy. He waited for his opportunity, and man, did he make the most of it.
And Brew's so strong, too. If he catches the ball, he can have 4 defenders on him. He can shed them off. He's making that catch. He's proven he's a sideline runner. He makes big catches. He knocks people off. You can't really tackle him. And so he's a guy who can really get good yardage quick with him. That play, like you said, was huge. That set up the game-winning field goal. And jumping back to that atmosphere after the game, as soon as he made the kick, I just kind of stood there. Well, I have my video out for a little bit. I turn around, I zoom out. People are already climbing over the rails, making their way to the field. I never forget this guy. This guy's probably 50 years old, probably. He runs right past me. And as he's running, he looks me in the eye. And you see tears just coming down his face.
Oh man, that's beautiful.
He went, man, we did it.
That's beautiful.
We did it. And I was like, this is like a movie. Like, this is insane. And after him, somebody else ran right across me, grabbed my phone out of my hand and said, "We did it." And I was like, what is going on? And then all of a sudden, more and more people flood the field. Cigar smokes up in the air. the goalposts start being broken down, and I kind of stand in the corner by the media room door, and I'm just thinking about it. I'm like, I just covered a classic. Like, this may be the game of my life. This could be the atmosphere that I ever see that's the best out there. I go to the media room for a little bit, get my stuff set up for post game. I come back out, and people are just then it's just a sea of orange. People are on top of the goalpost. Then I look up to the stands, and they're carrying out to the river. It's insane. That needs to be a documentary, some kind of A60 or something. But it was an incredible atmosphere for sure.
I was at Tennessee's loss to Memphis in '96. I was there when they essentially shut down after Fulmer was let go against Wyoming, and covered the Georgia State game where it felt like a funeral in there. Flip that in-house for 98 for the Collins Cooper, no siree, wide left. I was there for the standing in a puddle, might I add, in 1998 to the Arkansas game with Billy Ratliff. And I just remember watching how this game unfolded. And I don't think that this is hyperbole in any way. That was the greatest game that I have ever seen played, and it happened at Neyland Stadium in Knoxville, Tennessee. I've watched a lot of college football. I've seen incredible plays. I've seen incredible outcomes. I've seen incredible just storytelling at its finest. But watching haymaker after haymaker against the rival based on what was on the line and who was playing and what was on the line, I can say without even thinking twice, it was the greatest game. And trust me, there are so many people this day who were, this is the greatest meal. They're a prisoner of the moment. That was the greatest movie I ever watched. Everything is just like live in the moment here. Without question, the greatest game. In my 34, 35 years, I know it is for me. And I would like to hear from 40 and 50 and 6-year-old Vols fans who could say, you got the Sugar Vols, you got this. There's a lot of great games. I bet you this ranks up number one. And if it's not one, you better find a pretty darn good candidate.
It's the way it transcribed. I mean, the 21-7, oh boy, we're going to beat Bama by a nice amount. Bama comes back. Looks like the game would be. And I love offense. If people love offensive scoring games, that was it. 52-49. That's a classic. Yeah. And the way it ends, not only does Bama miss their field goal, but Tennessee answers with their make. It's just like there's so many storylines that like were scripted, but it wasn't. It just played out like that. Incredible.
During the 15-game losing streak, the most points Tennessee had ever scored in a game was the year prior, 24 points, and they still got they essentially got woodshed in the fourth quarter.
Right.
But it was a precursor of what you knew they could do against an Alabama team. I don't think anybody predicted that it was going to turn around the very next year. It was going to be 52 points, and that these two teams combined were going to score 101 points. I mean, look, we've seen the ESPN at Sewanee. They haven't given up this much, but it's just insane because this is Alabama, and they're the most flagged team in college football. It just seems like there's very much a pinch me moment in this, if you know what I'm saying.
Right.
Like you want to Scooby-Doo and take the mask off and go, it was Vanderbilt the whole time. We knew it was Vanderbilt. No, this is freaking Bama.
Yeah.
This is Roll Tide Roll. This is Dixie. This is all, we just beat the hell out of you. No. Like it's hard for me to even go back and rewatch the game on YouTube or rewatch it and just say, what did I miss? What were the little things that I missed? And go back and go, I know how this game ends. And there are so many different checkpoints where you go, this could have gone wrong, or this could have gone wrong, or and it didn't. It didn't. It's what people want to see in every college football game. And if they don't get it on TV, they plug in their PlayStation and they try to do it on PlayStation and they can't. Tyler, they couldn't replicate it again. I made a comment on the show this week. I play NCAA football. I can't throw 5 touchdowns to one wide receiver in a game, but Jalen Hyatt can. And he said during August, there's a perfect clip out there. In August, he met with the media and there was this rumbling. Are you going to transfer? What are the plans here? Some people don't believe. Jalen, I'm not going to transfer. I'm not transferring. He put on good weight. He got bigger, confidence in himself. And he said, this offense, mark my words, will be the best offense in college football. Why would I want to leave for that? Fast forward 2 months later, he's scoring 5 damn touchdowns against Tennessee's biggest rival. Disney, you couldn't write that.
And they're doing it all without Cedric Tillman. People forget he's even on the team anymore because he's had surgery.
Oh, come on. No, come on. Come on.
Loaded.
No. Look, how can you not? And you mentioned the recruits. You said there were so many recruits behind you. How could you not watch that game? First of all, you come to Knoxville. You're talking to your soon-to-be teammates if you choose to sign. Everything that comes with it, 100,000 plus, Rocky Top, the beautiful sights, the sounds. And you watch that game, and you're a player in this offense thinking, this guy can give me these video game-like numbers, and then he can get me and my family taken care of for the rest of our life when I graduate or I leave early and I go to the NFL. I'm sorry. How did you not sit in that stadium? And if you didn't have Tennessee on your short list, how did you not leave going, yeah, this isn't the last time I'm coming to Knoxville? Exactly. It could not have worked out a better way for the University of Tennessee.
There were recruits announcing this Friday that were at that game, and I'm sure some of them were thinking, Tennessee might be a good option for me. I mean, that atmosphere, you can't beat it. I mean, and seeing, especially if you're a player on the offensive side of the ball, the way that offense runs, Heupel's not going anywhere anytime soon. The team proves what it can do offensively. If you're a quarterback, if you're a receiver or running back, where would you want to play at besides Tennessee? I mean, come on.
I know they've already announced his extension. They did it before the Florida game, which, by the way, that extension had been worked out in January. They were just trying to find time to get it announced. Took care of his assistants. Josh Heupel got paid on Saturday. And I don't mean by, okay, he got a check that cleared or went direct deposit. The future, the extensions that are to come with this, he got paid. And it's going to be one of those moments where if this continues, because what do they always say? You're only as good as your next win. Yeah. You know, the people who are skeptical about this win, let up the haters, the people nationally. Oh, let me see them go down to Bryant-Denny Stadium next year and do it. Oh, you're only as good as the next win. And how many? And it goes back to kind of that resume I was talking about with Ohio State. How many more teams does Tennessee have to beat? How many more times can you, as a fan of somebody else or a publication of covering somebody else, move your conversation goalpost back until finally you go, I got nothing. I got to give them credit. They go to Pittsburgh. They win in overtime. All right. They beat their rival here in Knoxville. They then go to LSU. And with Brian Kelly, one of arguably the best coaches in college football, he's walking off the field at halftime and he just, we're being out coached right now. First 30 minutes, we got to be better. It's not just that his players. It's not that just his players are succeeding, Tyler. He's making coaches do dumb things. Billy Napier's going for 2 when he only needs 1. Brian Kelly admits that he's sitting here out coaching me. And frankly, it'll never be said because it's all hail Nick Saban and we can't say anything bad about Nick Saban. Go back and watch that final drive that they ultimately led to the missed field goal. Why the hell are they passing the ball 3 times? Yeah. Run that ball. And if you miss the field goal, guess what? There's no time left on the clock and you just go to overtime. What is Nick Saban doing? I've watched 3 straight Tennessee victories where not only have the players gone out there and played their asses off, but I've watched Josh Heupel, 19 games at the University of Tennessee, out-coach Billy Napier, Brian Kelly, and Nick Saban. That needs to be pointed out.
I agree 100%. 100%. Especially like the Pitt game, that's their first true like big-time road win. A non-conference, it's like, you know what, this Pitt team is really good. And they go on the road and they beat that team. It wasn't easy, but they did it. I'm like, all right, this could be a solid year. I said 9 wins coming in. I'm like, all right, they can maybe get 10.
I'll put that win up against. I see what you're saying. I'll give the Kentucky game a little love last year too, because he needed to roll the dice before halftime. He gets that field goal before halftime. What's the difference in the game last year? Yep. So I'll go even Stevens on Pittsburgh and Kentucky last year.
Those 2 are good, and then obviously you go home to Florida. Incredible atmosphere, incredible.
Yeah,
take care of business, and then LSU. I went to that trip. I had a great time in Baton Rouge. Love Baton Rouge. And they just took care of business from the start. I mean, they literally blew LSU out.
Right.
LSU had no answer for anything. Like, they weren't even there that game. That was not a Brian Kelly team that day. I don't know what they were doing, but as you can say, Brian Kelly said, "Yeah, we're being outcoached." I mean, they beat them in every facet. That was amazing to see. And then you go take on Alabama, an even better atmosphere than Florida was, which is hard to top. Game day's back, SEC Nation's there, and once again, strong start. The offense did its job. Defense did enough down the stretch, and obviously you can feel good to win the game. Now you're 6-0.
I want to bring up Hendon Hooker here for a second. His odds from the beginning of maybe the summer, if you found it was like plus 8,000. He's gone plus 8,000, plus 4,000, plus 1,200, And he's slowly starting to trickle to now he's got second place all to himself. And this week alone, he's gone from plus 500 to plus 450. ESPN.com. They have him as the favorite to win the Heisman. He doesn't have the best odds. He has the second best odds. But ESPN, they always do the breakdown week by week. They believe that Hendon Hooker right now through 6 games. Now, granted, C.J. Stroud was on bye last week.
Yeah.
They believe that right now Hendon Hooker has got the Heisman Trophy through 6-7 weeks of the season. Tennessee fans know where this is going. All right? They know where this is going. How many more times does a Tennessee quarterback have to finish second place? I should say quarterback. How often should a Tennessee player finish runner-up in a Heisman Trophy race? You know, Heath Schuler joins me Mondays on my show here in Knoxville.
Right.
And we talk about a runner-up of the Heisman Trophy, what Hendon Hooker's doing so well that's putting him in this position to be so successful. And I will say this, and we can make all the 97 jokes about Charles Woodson, and I don't want to rip off that scab. But if all these great things are happening in 1998, of all these magical Disney moments that you can't write it any better, what are the chances that Hendon Hooker, who leaves Virginia Tech, if he's still there, who knows if Justin Fuente has a job, but he comes to Knoxville, he's the straight guy, he's the guy who answers all the questions, not afraid to put him in front of the media, he keeps his nose clean. Tyler Mansfield, what happens if it's Hendon Hooker after so many years and a Josh Heupel offense that finally brings a Heisman Trophy to Knoxville? This place might erupt.
This could by far be one of the best seasons, years overall in Tennessee football history. And they go back way many years.
Right.
But just the way, the magnitude of what that would mean, and even if they let's just say they go and they keep winning. I'm not going to pick the Georgia game, but say they win at least 11 games. You know, that's still a potential playoff team. And if not, you're getting one of the best New Year's Six bowl games out there. Okay? If you're telling me that happens, Hooker's is a Heisman Trophy winner.
Right.
I mean, there's a good chance that Hyatt could be Blitnikoff or similar award winner, keeps it up. I don't know what else to say. I mean, that is like milestone stuff. That's like history books. That's incredible. Knoxville, I don't know what happened. It'd be insane. And Heupel would automatically, I think he'd jump up the list, and people can label him, you know, one of the best ball coaches of all time. I mean, yeah, he's been here 2 years, but look what he's done in 2 years. You know. Well, let's see what next year happens. I just think it's a lot to play for, a lot on the line for sure.
It feels like that this conversation about Hooker as Heisman has added a little bit of authenticity, because you could always say, that's cute. Who have you beaten?
Yeah.
Then you beat Alabama, and then the conversation turns to, I'm running out of excuses. From a national standpoint, from another fan base standpoint, you're running out of excuses. It's like, we'll do this, then you accomplish it. Or okay, well, then why don't you? And then you accomplish it. From a Jalen Hyatt standpoint, I personally believe you're not going to see Cedric Tillman coming out against UT Martin. Josh Heupel gave an update earlier today. They're just trying to get Cedric Tillman back to 100%. I personally believe, not just him, but also Jalen McCullough, I believe that you're going to see both of them return to action in the Kentucky game for both situations that are both situations right now that are playing out. Jalen Hyatt currently leads the nation in receiving touchdowns. That's not going to keep up because you got more mouths to feed and you have a returning Cedric Tillman. But if you want to talk about somebody Tennessee fans are rooting more for, you could probably put Warren Burrell into that conversation, but Burrell out for the year after the upper body at Pittsburgh. But just the way Burrell's season ended, the Purdue game, I have full confidence this guy's going to bounce back in 2023 when he's healthy. But if you want to talk about somebody that Tennessee fans were openly rooting for, especially after he met with the media in the summer and the way he just talked about his mental attitude and how he's adjusted to the game and how he wants to be a better SEC wide receiver, what he's been able to do, having a remarkable game against Alabama. If you're a cheerleader, if you're a Tennessee fan, how can you not cheer for a guy who wears number 11 and he breaks the Tennessee record books when it comes to receiving, and he does it against a team who includes a player in Henry T, who used to play in Knoxville, who wore number 11. Watching Vols fans tweet at Jalen Hyatt, mention Henry T, and hit send on the shade that they were sending, Vols fans continue to stay undefeated because they love this football team. Remarkable stuff.
That Henry T stuff was hilarious all week. I mean, he says, it's another game. no feelings there. Then obviously Tennessee takes care of business there. It's been back
business,
and forth, but
business. Okay,
that's what happens. That's what happens. It's one of those. That game's just it meant something to Tennessee that you can't put into words. And will they stay hot from that? We'll see. But I mean, that's a win you won't forget for many years to come.
Do you agree with me? The new floor for the University of Tennessee in 2022 is 10 wins. Is it 11? Right now, majority of sports books out there, and they usually give you a compass to where a lot of storylines are going. They're offering odds on Tennessee over 10.5 wins, and it's currently being bought at minus 180. That's a lot of juice for over 10.5 wins. That means they expect them to win every game remaining except the Georgia game. And depending on where you're shopping your number, 10.5, 11.5. All right, books like Georgia down in Athens. I don't know how much I can argue with that. Is the new floor 11? Is it 10? It's certainly not 8-4. It's certainly not 7-5. Where are you right now looking ahead? Not just Martin, not just Kentucky. You still got Columbia. You still got Nashville. You still have those games. Where are you at?
I say 11. I really do. And I thought about it long last couple of days. I'm
like, look at you.
They can slip up.
Look at you just trying to just pump up the fans, man. Okay. No, if you believe it, you believe it.
I do. And just because of what I've seen out of LSU and out of the Bama game, out of Pitt, out of Florida, these are good ranked teams. You beat all four, not with ease at times, but I mean, they took care of business. I mean, they literally did. And I've seen Kentucky play this year. I'm not sold. I haven't been since the start of the season.
Even with that win against Mississippi State.
That was the biggest one. That's one I'm like, all right, this is a solid team. State's good.
So you take the State win over the Florida win in Gainesville?
Yes.
Okay. No, that's fair. I just want to see what the measure.
They had that long streak there. Had a long streak.
No, that's fine.
Florida game wasn't pretty, but they got the win. But then the Ole Miss game, a little ugly. Even like their first two those bye games, you trailed a halftime in one. Wasn't sharp in the other. Will Levis had thrown a pick like at least one in every single game, moving like during that stretch. And I think he's a great quarterback. I have Hooker over him in terms of overall player. But I think Kentucky game, obviously, it's a rivalry. A lot to play for. UK could definitely come to Knoxville and get a win. I mean, that could happen easily. But I think if Tennessee plays the way it has against these other top teams in SEC, that's another win. And then South Carolina is decent, but Tennessee shouldn't have a problem there. Missouri's the same way. Vanderbilt, that'll be a home game for Tennessee. That's 11 wins. And Georgia's the one where, all right, yes, they can compete. Yes, they can match up. It's in Athens. It's huge how they show up for that game. But we'll get there. But yeah, I'm saying 11 wins just because of what I've seen so far and what I think this team can do moving forward.
They're 11-1. Do they still make the college football playoff? I've talked to a lot of people who I know still connected with ESPN and still connected with CBS. And they've said, if you go down based on what's left on Tennessee's schedule, based on who is still projected to win said conference against said team head-to-head, if you just play it out and simulate it to the end of the season, there are still people who believe an 11-1 Tennessee team that has lost to Georgia, who then goes on to then beat, let's assume, Alabama, that Tennessee at 11-1 has a serious case to be the 4 seed if they don't get the doors blown off of them when they go to Athens. Do you believe Tennessee, with one loss, if they give you a competitive game in Athens, still goes to the college football playoff? I got national people who've been doing this a lot longer than I have that says this is a real team. They proved it to us by beating Alabama. What say you?
Similar thing. Show me a better resume than a team that won all those SEC games.
12th best schedule in the nation right now. 12th toughest schedule in the nation.
Exactly. I mean, Ohio State's good. Haven't played a big opponent yet. Michigan down the road eventually. I don't know. Georgia's played some tough opponents, but really not like Tennessee has. Tennessee, to this point, Tennessee has played a tough schedule. Probably the best one in the country overall from the first 6 weeks of the season. And if they can win 11 with the schedule they played, the way they beat LSU on the road, just beating Bama in the way they did it, I don't see how you're the playoff committee and you can say, well, they're a 5 or 6 team. That's a number 4 team. It has to be, right? I mean, especially if you say Georgia they lose, but say that they lose by 10, maybe it's 7. Maybe it's less than that. Maybe it's like a Bama flip flop. You lose by 3 or so.
Ohio State's best win to date is Notre Dame, and we kind of know what Notre Dame is now. I'll give Georgia just a smidge of credit because they told Oregon to come down to the state of Georgia and Atlanta, held them to only a field goal. And this Oregon team, it's still growing on me. Now, if Oregon goes, they host this weekend. If they host UCLA and they beat the undefeated team, they beat undefeated Chip Kelly and DTR, that's just going to add to that strength. But again, we're not there yet. We can only go based on what we've seen. And Tennessee, not only have they beaten 4 teams ranked in the top 25, do you remember the last time? And I'm putting you on the spot here, so it's okay. I'm just putting you on the spot here. Do you want to take a shot in the dark the last time Tennessee beat 3 consecutive teams ranked in the top 25? Mansfield, I'm going to be honest with you. I don't recall when you were born, but there's a very good chance it happened before you were born. So just take a shot out there. I'll give you a hint. It's happened since I've been alive. I'm 36.
Early 90s.
Okay. Oh.
Early 90s.
You give me a year?
94.
1.
Okay.
1991 was the last time Tennessee beat 3 consecutive ranked teams in the top 25. I've seen this body of work. I've seen what Tennessee has done on a football field. I've seen what Tennessee's been able to do both offensively and defensively. You can't even make that argument this year of it's all offense. It's just all Josh Heupel. What more do you have to see from this defense? What they've been able to do to stop the run, what they've been able to do, what their linebackers have been able to give them, the depth that they have built on the defensive line. Yes, we can talk about what's happened in the secondary. What do you do without Kamal Haddon? Jalen McCall is not in this game due to suspension, and he can't line up the youngsters where he needs to as the captain there in center field. Christian Charles has had his issues. But I'll tell you right now, man, your depth can take you so far, but it can also sink your ship. Right now, Tennessee's living right in that secondary. They're living right in that secondary, and right now it has not been the position yet that has broken this Tennessee team. And right now you got to give Willie Martinez needs to be getting some type of recognition. So last year when the linebackers were not performing as well, and it was just Jeremy Banks, and you had so many different guys. Aaron Beasley, who was just trying to learn how to be a linebacker. Mm-hmm. He used to be a running back, and then they were shifting him around, and it just bad things were happening. We had to give praise to Brian John Marie of what he was doing inside that room, inside the linebackers room. That praise needs to be moved up to what's happening in the secondary, because what they had to replace last year, man, Willie Martinez, what he's been able to do to help out so many guys, be able to help out so many of those players. Willie Martinez, kudos to you, dude.
Secondary has not been their strong suit by any means, but like you said, lost guys. The guys are learning. You still have Trevon Flowers. You still have Christian Charles.
Will freaking Wright coming into the game and making a huge play.
How about that? That's something that Josh Heupel talked about today. Yeah, Heupel mentioned today on the SC Coaches teleconference. He said, how about that guy? I mean, made a huge play. I mean, that's one that you'll talk about during that game when you're discussing it for years to come. But just think, as that secondary improves and gets better, it only adds to Tennessee and what they've done so far this year.
Right.
That's just their offense is clicking. The defense from overall standpoint is good. The front seven's strong. Jeremy Banks is a stud. Aaron Beasley's been really good, really, really good. And secondary is making improvements. You add that all together. I mean, it's only game 7 coming up. You got a long way to go.
I remember Aaron Beasley. A lot of talk was that Aaron Beasley, perhaps maybe the SEC was a little advanced for him. And I don't know if you recall this, but I do. That first game against Ball State, do yourself a favor. If you're listening or watching right now and you want to know just what was the precursor to what Aaron Beasley could do this year for Tennessee, go back to that Ball State game where they tried to get cute on the first play and watch who was the one creating havoc there. If you want to talk about sometimes how there's a little bit of breadcrumbs led behind, or there's a red flag, or there's a, hey, pay attention here, here's a little highlighted mark. It's like we were making jokes today in our building. We should have known Tennessee had a good chance to beat Alabama whenever the Tennessee Titans were also on their bye week. It was like, because you didn't have to focus on the Titans now because everything was happening. There's those little things that happen. Go back to the Ball State game. Fire up YouTube when you're done here with us. Just type in Tennessee Ball State. Somebody's uploaded the video. You don't have to go that far. Just go right there to the very first play. And when that first play happens, they try that little trickery. Who's in the middle of it creating chaos? And watch the way he reads it. You tell me if that didn't kind of get in your head and go, wait a second, is Aaron Beasley figuring things out? Oh, no, it's the first play of the season. Well, who am I? It's the first play of the season. Aaron Beasley. Hey, Tyler Mansfield, who leads the team in tackles right now?
Yeah, exactly. And he's been good, Aaron Beasley. I mean, man, yeah, he's impressed me definitely. I've wrote about him a few times this year where this is a new position for him. And look what he's doing. I mean, he's played a big role for sure. And having him moving forward, so he keeps to learn the system, get better and better. Right. It's huge for Tennessee.
I'm going to give you the final word here. Through 6 games, Tennessee as a whole, and everybody right now is eating up all the Tennessee content they can get. Do you need to see more from this Tennessee team? Or do you believe that they are right now a team of destiny and something special is happening? Many Tennessee fans will tell you, okay, hold up. Don't put the cart before the horse because there's still Kentucky before Georgia. Mm-hmm. There is the Georgia game. Carolina, Vandy, whomever, what's left. I know who's on the schedule. I'm just saying we know Missouri's of the world. Where are you at right now on this Tennessee football team?
I'm taking the latter of what you said. I think they're on the cusp of a remarkable season, one that they've been wanting for a long time.
Right.
One that happened years ago and hasn't been in quite a while. I think Heupel and his team have proven that. You don't just beat Bama and LSU, Florida, and say, oh, yeah, they're a solid team. This is a really good team. And 6-0, you're ranked 3rd, you're climbing. The way they carry themselves and their mentality, I don't see them falling. I don't see them doing something crazy and getting beat. Leaving Georgia week, I think this team will still be undefeated. I think there will be still the same spot in the poll, maybe jump to 2 if voters vote the right way, But if you're undefeated going to Georgia, that game will speak volumes too. And even if you lose it and then still keep winning, I mean, just pick back up. But they haven't lost it this year, so we're not sure how they respond to a loss if it were to happen down the road. But this is a team that I think can compete for a conference title and win one. I think it's a team that could be in the CFP, which would be insane to think
49%
about.
49% chance. Right now,
they
have a 49% chance to make the college football playoff. The predictor has them it's the 5th best odds to make the playoff. Alabama with a loss has higher odds than them, but again, It's Alabama. The college football playoff has been around. This is 8 years. This will be year number 9. Alabama has made the playoffs 7 of 8 years. So I guess the best predictor of the future is the past. But Tennessee in year 2 has a 49% chance to actually play for a national championship or at least make it to the playoff, which will lead me to this question. Do you believe the University of Tennessee right now is a legitimate contender for the national championship? I don't mean getting to the playoff. I don't mean getting to the game. I mean, if I told you to name teams who you realistically believe will be celebrating a national championship at the end of the season, does Tennessee make your list?
I think they can match up with anyone in the country this year. You can't find a better offense that operates better than Josh Heupel's in Tennessee's this year. Hooker is one of the most consistent, mature quarterbacks in the nation and one of the best quarterbacks in general who can be a Heisman Trophy winner. The defense will keep improving. They might have some shootouts down the road, but yes.
More shootouts than they just had against Alabama?
we saw the best one you could see.
That's cool.
I think, this
team
will
score 49. It's cool. They'll score 52. It's cool.
Am I kind of shocked that we're in this conversation that they can compete for a national championship? Yes, but
wow.
I mean, through 6 weeks, man, I'm proven. I mean, I've seen a lot, and I will say I took this job, and they've not lost a game since. I'm just saying. But
I think what you're saying is that we should. I think what you're trying to say is that Tennessee fans should protect Tyler Mansfield at all costs, like bubble wrap you, put you away. Man, wow. I was born and raised here in East Tennessee. I have been to national championship. I was about to say plural. I've been to the national championship game. I was there in Atlanta when Tennessee fans were showing up after beating Florida in the rescheduled 9/11 game. 2001 LSU, Tennessee fans were showing up with roses in their mouths, and I thought, oh, this isn't good. I was there for the other issues with LSU in Atlanta, and I just thought, man, I had no idea that Tennessee was in the good times, or us as fans were in a good time at that point in time, because I just assumed it would always be great in Knoxville, and that none of this would ever come, the bad stuff. But it did. And if you're a Tennessee fan who has legitimately persevered through this, and you know who I'm talking to, you know who I'm describing right now. You're the guy or the girl who proudly every year puts your Tennessee flag out in the garden or hangs it from the backyard. You've never changed your license plate frame around your car. You've left it there. You've always organized your closet in the fall to make sure the orange stuff is right there. You've taken the trash talk from your cubicle neighbors. You've taken the trash talk from your actual physical neighborhood neighbors. You've listened to the Facebook chatter. You've done all the things that have led you to get here. And now those people, they don't trash talk you because you're Tennessee, and now you're back to the big boys table. How many? I used to walk around airports when I traveled for a living, and I would wear maybe a golf polo, or I would have a ball cap on, and I would look across at somebody at an airport, and they would do that whole like, look at that guy over there wearing Tennessee stuff. Or you would sit down at a bar because your flight was delayed, and they'd be like, hey, partner, can I buy you a beer? Sounds like you've been through a tough time. Why? Because that's not there anymore. Those jokes aren't there anymore.
All right.
So to answer your question, do I believe Tennessee's a contender? I'd rather say no and get proven wrong than to say yes and then be disappointed.
Right.
Last year, I just simply said, you know what would be ideal for Tennessee? True story. You could pull it up and listen to it over at the station site. They said, Tyler, what is your ideal Tennessee outcome next year? I said, each of the last couple of years under Jeremy Pruitt, we keep hearing, oh, maybe they'll go to the Liberty Bowl and take on Mike Gundy's Oklahoma State Cowboys. I said, what is your infatuation with Okie State? I said, I would just love to see Oklahoma State's offense take on Tennessee's offense. Maybe they could do it at the Sugar Bowl. I've never seen a Sugar Bowl. I'd love to go to New Orleans and see a Sugar Bowl. So, Ivens, what you're saying is I'd love to see Tennessee take on Oklahoma State, if you want me to be specific, in New Orleans at the Sugar Bowl. Right now, the projections are for Tennessee to go to the Sugar Bowl to take on Oklahoma State. Now, can I lose that for a chance for them to go to the playoff? Okay, twist my arm.
Yeah.
I'm not there yet about national championship. But if they house Kentucky, if they shut that fan base up and say basketball season will be here soon, if they tell Mr. TikTok mayonnaise in his coffee, Will Levis, get out of town. If they go to Georgia, I'm not even saying win. I'm not saying they can't win. I'm not going to put that you have to win. If they keep it close and Georgia is clinching their butt in the fourth quarter, like what's about to happen, and then they run through the rest of their table and they're 11-1, and then Georgia takes care of their business against a rematch of Bam. Maybe they play Bam again. Maybe they play Ole Miss. Who knows? Absolutely, this team will have the best one-loss resume in the country. And again, if they're undefeated, it kind of takes care of itself, does it not?
I agree. Sky, like I said earlier, sky's the limit. There's a lot happening right now, and a lot to keep up with. And there's basketball coming soon, and they're preseason number 11. I mean, there's a lot going on, man. It's a good time.
If we do not get me on the BJ Edwards train right now. That guy, this whole offseason has been going toe-to-toe with Zakai Ziegler over at the practice facility, and I am huge. I am putting all my money and all my stock on BJ Edwards. Move him to the 2, see if you can get him off the ball a little bit more. We'll get into basketball when basketball happens.
We will.
Hey, I can tell you right now, very excited. We are going to start hitting this thing full bore. If you're looking for wake-me-ups, if you're looking for the good nights, what can I hear whenever I'm stuck in the traffic, when I'm stuck in the drop-off line over at the school? You need something to give you your Tennessee fix. We're your guys. What we do over here at Checkerboard Chatter, what we do over at Ball Report, guys like Tyler Mansfield, bang-up job. Noah, some of the other cats that they have over here. I'm just the mouthpiece. I'm the guy who just does all the fancy things here with the graphics and the yayas. We appreciate anything that you guys need from us. We'll take care of you. Subscribe. You need to be one of the guys that make sure you have the latest in all things Tennessee, do you not? Feed your head. Do the things you need for your Big Orange and all the things related to the University of Tennessee. We got people here on the ground. feet on the ground, if they would say. The Tyler Squared edition of Checkerboard Chatter. So we step aside now. Again, articles posted daily. Subscriptions, get those in. Hey, and look, Christmas is around the corner. Tell the old lady, hey, I need you to subscribe to Vol Report. Go ahead. Do it like they used to do back in the days. Put it right there in the magazine and they'll read it. Tyler, be well, man. We'll chat soon. And for all of you out there, thank you so much for joining us here on Vol Report's Checkerboard Chatter, here exclusive with Rivals.